And so when this whole thing seemed to be kind of on the outs earlier, and I was kind of wondering if I was going to talk about this either. And at first I was, because I knew there was some small updates to it, such as I believe it was the producer or someone involved with the show had made a comment disavowing some of the criticism it got from the family themselves and saying it wasn't true or fair or whatever. Which again may be the case, but the thing that kind of put it back on the map, at least for me, was when Kim had written the op-ed about it, since that was something that was kind of a bit of a curveball, I guess is a way to put it. I didn't really expect that. And so, for those who didn't really know last time when I talked about it, I just want to emphasize, like, I don't know, I know very little of the details of the actual case in terms of the defense or what really happened or their lives before that. And I'm not really doing this to find out, you know. So I'm not here to say, because I guess I didn't know how many people were kind of on the boat that they thought it was justified what they did. So I'm not here to disavow that side or support that side or whatever, talk about who, like, what should have happened or what shouldn't have happened or anything like that. Although, I mean, and I'm going to go into it, I guess it does seem to be most people are saying that the killings themselves, the act of the killings, was wrong. So I guess I'll say that that's probably the case then, because even the people who are kind of defending them or believe they should be freed or anything like that seem to be leaning towards that as well. So I'm not defending the killings or anything like that. I'm just here to like talk about what I thought was interesting about what's happening in the news with it. So this isn't about defending or disavow or whatever, anything like that. So it was Kim Kardashian involved who wrote an opinion piece for NBC News about it, about why she thinks that the Menendez brothers should be released from prison. And I thought that was interesting just off the bat. First of all, because I thought maybe like a legal scholar or something would kind of weigh in at this point about if they think, like, I expected some more op eds to be written about this because it's a pretty big issue right now. Or again, it was like maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago at this point. So I thought maybe more people would talk about it. I didn't expect her to, and I think I heard somewhere that she like passed her bar exam or something like that. Maybe that's incorrect, or that she's like does have legal knowledge of it. I mean, her dad was a lawyer, so I don't really know what that if that qualifies you much to speak about the law in general. But she probably, I mean, I'll give her credit; she knows more about it than me probably. But I thought that was a bit of a random person to talk about it, especially because she hasn't. I don't know if she's written an op-ed for NBC or anyone like that before. But it was a bit funny that she doesn't do it now because also from the op-ed, as I'll get into it, her knowledge of this is not just from the TV show, but that's kind of why this is blowing up again, the TV show. And it makes me think mostly that she kind of thought now would be a good time to do it because of the publicity of the TV show. I mean, from what I understand from reading the op-ed, I don't think she mentioned the TV show. Maybe not even once, although maybe one time or something. But if she learned a lot about it from the documentary, like I don't know how she came away with very positive feeling towards them in terms of they should be released because again, I haven't watched the TV show, but I know it was called. The title was Monsters, and it was it wasn't even really come from a super unbiased point of view, from my understanding. And like there's been criticism for that from it, but I don't know. That's her business. However, she found out about it when she learned. That's her business. So, out of all the statements she made, the one that I thought was most notable was, and I'm going to quote exactly: psychologically, time changes us, and I doubt anyone would claim to be the same person they were at 18. I mean, I'm not really old enough to comment on that specifically because I'm like barely over 18, but just a few years, I guess, like less than 5 years over 18. And I'm sure she's talking about people who are like maybe her age or like, I don't know, in their early 40s or whatever, or maybe younger than that as well. Like, I feel like the people who are going to understand that statement, most people probably like 10 years past 18 or something. So, okay, like maybe I'm not old enough to comment on that. Although I would even say I'm not the same person I was at 18, although there's not as much difference between me and someone like her probably. But there's kind of a difference between, again, assuming because she actually also takes the position. This is me just quoting her because she takes the position that the murders themselves were wrong. That kind of the idea that being a mistake you make at 18, there's a difference between a mistake you make at 18 that's like, I wouldn't do that today and killing people, but whatever. I mean, I guess I thought I should make that distinction, but whatever. I guess I get the point. All right, maybe she's onto something. But she also said, and I'm quoting here. I messed up the first quote by pausing for whatever. I don't know why. Just when I was reading, I kind of made that mistake. But quote: having spent time with Lyle and Eric, they are not monsters. They are kind, intelligent, and honest men. That kind of led me to wonder. I mean, what kind of circumstances did you meet them under? Especially when it was like before this show happened. I mean, I don't want to say that anyone who's like cares about this case or has an opinion got interested because of the show. In fact, it's probably the opposite. They care and then they saw the show. But what circumstances were you under where you met them? But okay, like whatever, do what you want in your free time. And I did see another statement that was a bit interesting, which was, quote, the killings are not excusable. I want to make that clear. Nor is their behavior before, during, or after the crime. So she believes the killings were wrong, like I said, because I'm just quoting what she said about that. And I do find it a bit interesting that she kind of brushes that aside, puts it as like, yeah, it wasn't okay to do that. Because that is kind of, why they're in jail. And I mean, I guess she kind of makes the argument that people change and that's why we should release them. And also, she goes, I didn't quote anything because it wasn't as interesting comments, but she does acknowledge the argument that it was like self defense from sexual abuse that they were facing from their father, or that they believed it was the only way out of that circumstances. So she's making the point of both that it was wrong and that, but understanding their point of view, I guess. But you might want to focus a little bit more on if the murders were justified or what you think about that, because that is what they're there for. So, I mean, as I said before, because it's kind of brief, there wasn't a lot to say about it, but I did want to bring it up. I, know very little about the case. And the more I learn, I mean, I do understand that there's the argument to me that the father was like a bad guy, and that I'm pretty sure that even that, I don't know how many people, but that the idea that he was abusive is corroborated by other people. And, again, it was something like 24 members of the family who are still alive today said they want the brothers to be released. And disavowed a lot of the actions of the father. So there is probably something to learn about that and look into about that. But I think that if that's going to be like the angle that people take, we're kind of learning more about why they did it and understanding that maybe there's more to the story than how maybe like the media painted it or whatever. I think someone besides Kim Kardashian should probably comment on it because her father. I mean, considering her kind of family history, with her father getting, OJ Simpson, a guy who killed his wife or his ex-wife away, out of jail. I mean, I think maybe someone else might be best to comment on this. I don't know who, and I don't know really who would want to, but I don't know. There's got to be someone. I mean, maybe we can look into that or something.